Good day, Cadre. Barber Dave, Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. I was going to do this as part of my shave video, but I figured I'd shorten them both up a little bit. So Todd had asked me to do a tutorial on eyebrow maintenance. And we're going to go into the tips and tricks and tools and stuff like that. But frankly, you should not necessarily have to do your eyebrows at home if you're getting the proper service at your barber. And there are three things that should happen at your barber with your very regular haircut. Actually, four things. With your regular haircut, you should get a shave around your ears and your neck to clean that up. Two, they should offer you to do your ear hair, both inside the ear canal and outside on both sides. Your nose hair should be offered to do if you want, and a quick trim of your eyebrows. That should be done as part of the service, no extra cost. Now, if you want to get your eyebrows waxed or your nose waxed or your ears waxed, yes, that'll be usually $5 per service is what the going rate is. But the other things should just be part of your service. So you may not necessarily have to do it at home because remember, your hair grows between 1/4 and 1/2 inch a month. But it also goes through three stages. It goes through an anagen phase, a telogen phase, and then a resting phase. In the anagen phase, you're at full hair growth. In the telogen phase, you've taken a break. So it may go down to less than 1/4 of an inch a month or less. And then you've got the resting phase, which can be 12 years. So your hair cannot grow for almost 12 years. It usually happens when we get older and stuff like that. And then when we get into the Canish's issue, which is gray hair, that will slow down a little bit. And also remember that when you're using any type of implement for your hair, your face, or anything, make sure it's absolutely razor sharp. The reason being is because your hair has got the tensile strength of copper wire, believe it or not. So let's go ahead and look at the tools that we're going to be using for today's tutorial. One, get yourself a good set of clippers. Okay, Wall is probably the most well-known. You can find these if you're not doing a lot of heavy-duty work. You can find these for about 20 bucks at Walmart or any of your convenience stores. And make sure it has multiple attachments that pop on and pop back on. That way you can do your nose hairs yourself too. You're going to want a taper comb. Now, this is kind of a combination taper comb, but you want the smallest tines as possible. I recommend a comb that is made out of tortoise, bone, and or silicone. The nice thing about the silicone type combs is they're very inexpensive and they slide through the hair, so it'll feel good on your scalp and on your forehead. The other thing you can do is get one of these little tiny trimmers. This is a Wall, of course, and you can get these between 10 and 20 bucks, and they'll come with multiple attachments, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Get yourself a good pair, not an expensive pair, but a fairly inexpensive small barber shears that you can actually put your pinky on. These, and make sure they're razor sharp, and I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. Finally, you can use a eyebrow shaper razor. These you can get at Walgreens, I think $3.49 for 3. I use these in the shop all the time in place of wax, and we'll go into that in a minute. And then you can also get yourself a mustache comb that has thin tines and everything else. So when you're talking about doing your eyebrows, a couple of things. Where I see the biggest problem with most people that do their eyebrows at home is remember that the hair here should be long enough to go to here because the hair here will grow shorter. It has terminal growth. Your body's engineering system says that, okay, I've got terminal growth here, longer growth here. So if you want a full eyebrow to look smooth and everything else, you want to let this grow till it matches here. Now, if it gets wonky, yes, you're going to trim it. But what happens is people will clip their eyebrows at the same exact length. And so it starts doing this. And Dawn, I know you want to embrace your Viking, but your newborn daughter does not want to see this. Hi, I'm Don. I'm your dad. They don't want to see that. A groomed eyebrow looks better. Your wives will like it because I know because I've been through it that your wife will come by and say, "What is that? Yank." Don't pluck your eyebrows. That's damaging to your follicle. Now, the argument is that if you pluck it enough, you're not going to have it grow. Well, yes and no. But if you're in that phase, it's still going to grow. And then you're going to have stubble, and then you're going to possibly have ingrown hairs, pimples. Don't do it. So you want this to be longer. So when you're doing your trimming of your eyebrows, keep that in mind, depending on what kind, if you want, basically what I call the Brillo pad, so you want everything one even length, so it just looks that way, fine. Now, I am eyebrow follically challenged. My eyebrows are very, very light and light in color and light in growth. And most people that have lineages from the island nations or warmer climates will, because the eyebrows were meant to protect from snow, dirt, dust for your eyes. So some of us just don't have that, and it happens. and your eyebrows will thin out sometimes as you get older, or the reverse will happen, and your hair growth phase will go into overdrive, and you'll have this. So let's talk about that. Let me step back a little bit first and talk about going back to the barber. Now, if your barber offers waxing, that's all fine and good, but there's two things you want to avoid. One, the old-fashioned wax where they dip a popsicle stick in with this thick honey-looking stuff, paste it on your forehead, and then take a strip and rip it out. That is so old school, antiquated, you might as well, no, don't do that. They have a new wax now that you put it on with a Q-tip and you dab it on in the area, and it should only be put in the area on top of your eyebrow and underneath your eyebrow. It's just to shape it, that's it. And it's self-peeling, so basically it'll have a little tab on it, they'll peel it off, it has no pain, it's fine. And that should be about $5, like I said. But if you're gonna do it at home, there's a way you can do it at home where you don't need to use wax ever, and we'll go into that in a minute. So, first off, I'll talk about my favorite way to trim eyebrows. And you can do this on your own, or you can have your wife do it or somebody else do it. The biggest problem is, and I'm gonna use a word here called over-direct. When you cut the hair, you don't want the hair here to be the same length that it is here, because then you get this. So what you want to do is you comb up, push towards your nose. What that does is that over directs the hair, which means the hair here will end up longer, even though you're cutting it the same, will end up longer than the hair here. So in other words, when you're here and you over direct it, that hair is going to be longer than this hair over here. So what you want to do is over direct whatever length you want, put your shears right up against the comb and clip once. Don't keep clipping, clip once, okay? Come out if you want them a little longer, clip. Same here. As far as your unibrow is concerned, we'll touch that in a minute. So once again, push up, go towards your nose, that over directs the hair, snip. That to me is the easiest way to do it, but if you feel uncomfortable having razor sharp shears near your eye, there's another way to do it. Take your clippers. Same exact thing. Over direct. Now, when you're clipping, when you're using a clipper, make sure that you come from your nose out. Same on the other side. So when you do the other side, go up, over direct, nose out. The reason being is your hair has flaps on it. Okay, and if you cut against those flaps are going to flip up, hence split ends. And you can get split ends on any hair on your body. So make sure you cut with that grain as far as doing that. And just clip out. Now, what I also recommend doing is if you're using the clipper, once you over direct, make sure that you and you can see it from here, as you're coming up with the comb, come out with the comb. That'll leave it a little bit longer so you don't get these little spiky things for your hair. So those are the two main ways that I recommend. However, most of you want to do it something quick. Grab yourself your little trimmer, and you'll have 3 guards usually, a 3/4, a 1/2 inch, and a 1/4 inch guard, and maybe an 1/8. Take your longest guard, so 3/4 of an inch, make sure that's the length that you want, and this is the only time I'll tell you to go against the grain. Start at the end of your eyebrow, come across, same on this side, come across, then go to your shortest, and go with and comb the eyebrow down, and you'll find you'll get a nice feel. So that's what I would do as far as the eyebrow trimming. Now, as far as the tops, because believe it or not, if you look closely, you'll get these little ridges and stuff like that. So if you want a nicely shaped eyebrow, that's when you'll use this. Now, this is a razor. It's an actual razor. It's got disposable razors that you put into it. And this is in lieu of waxing, and I think this is better. So get yourself some clear gel, and it can be the goop that we used, the edge gel, and just put a nice bead across it. Actually, you can use shave oil. And then what you'll do is, once again, with the grain, you'll take the razor and you'll just, very close in the mirror, you'll just shape the eyebrow the way you want. Same thing on this side, just shape the eyebrow the way you want. But make sure you know exactly where that blade's at. That's why I recommend doing it this way, because you have the edge of that holder to keep you in line. Same thing on this side, is just come across this way. Now underneath, make sure you stretch your eyebrow up and then just come underneath. Just be careful of your eye. And that's really all there is to it to do your eyebrows. But like I said, if you go to the barber and that barber is worth his salt, or her salt if it's a cosmetologist, they should offer that as part of the service. It should just be part of it. And if you go to the barbershop once every 4 to 6 weeks, you should be fine and not have to deal with it yourself. You can have your spouse do it. whichever way you want to go. So that's kind of it, guys, on the tutorial on how to do your eyebrows at home. If you have any questions, just post it here. I'll probably post this in the tutorial section as well as the grooming section where this thread came up. I'm Barber Dave with Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. Hope everybody has a great day.